You people need to learn how to follow the rules. That was the first thing she screamed across the fence, a plastic wine glass in one hand and a clipboard in the other. Everyone calls her Karen, though her real name is probably something far less dramatic. But around our neighborhood, she's the self-appointed queen of the age, and she acts like every rule was hand-carved on stone tablets by her. It was supposed to be a simple backyard BBQ, a celebration for my dad, who just retired after 32 years of service as a firefighter. We'd invited the whole block: burgers, brisket, my uncle's famous ribs. Laughter floated with the smell of smoke and spice. Kids were playing tag on the lawn. My mom finally wore that red dress she'd been saving. For once, everyone in our family smiled at the same time, except for Karen. Her house sat diagonally behind ours, where the fence was just low enough for her to peek over like a hawk circling prey. We caught her glaring sometime around 4:30 p.m., arms folded, her little mutt barking like it wanted a piece of the action. We didn't think much of it. After all, she had declined the invite in her usual frosty tone. "Identity noise. I wish we had paid more attention." By 5:15, the first complaint hit our phones. HOA notification. Noise disturbance, violation, fine pending. 5 minutes later, by the time we were cutting into the retirement cake shaped like a fire truck, Karen had filed 3 complaints. My dad tried to shrug it off. "Let it go, Mia," he whispered. "Nothing ruins joy like bitterness." But my little cousin cried when the music got turned off. Uncle Ray, who flew in from El Paso just to surprise Dad, said, "She does this every time I visit. What is her problem?" I started to feel that familiar twist in my gut, the one I get when something pure is being tainted by someone who just can't stand happiness. I thought that was the worst of it. I was wrong. At exactly 6:03 p.m., a city vehicle pulled up. We paused, mid-toast, cups frozen halfway to lips, as the crowd parted for a tall man in a navy suit and a clipboard. It wasn't the police. It wasn't a noise enforcement officer. No, it was Mayor Alan Reyes. Yes, the actual mayor. Everyone gasped. You see, what Karen didn't know what she couldn't have known was that the mayor used to be a rookie firefighter under my dad back in the day. He called him Cap. He also called him Mentor. Every year, he'd send a Christmas card. This year, he asked to come in person. When he hugged my dad, I saw Karen's head bob up behind her fence again. The mayor noticed. He whispered something in my dad's ear, and they both laughed. But Karen didn't laugh. She stormed out her back gate, phone in hand, shouting into it like a commander, calling in a missile strike. "She's calling again," I said. "Maybe city council this time." The mayor raised his eyebrows. "She's about to call me," he said. The crowd erupted in laughter, but that wasn't the end of it. Karen wasn't just a stickler for the rules. She wrote half of them. She lobbied the HOA to enforce quiet hours, limit gatherings, restrict decorations, and penalize charcoal grills. She even banned lemonade stands after a toddler spilled some on her driveway. But this was her Everest, and she didn't like being upset. Karen came storming into our front yard 10 minutes later, lips pursed so tightly they almost disappeared into her face. She pointed at the speakers, then the grill, then the chairs, like she was laying out evidence in a trial. "This is a violation of 3 HOA codes. 3, she spat, holding up her clipboard like a badge. "There are limits to gatherings, fire hazards, excessive noise, unauthorized signage. And who gave you permission to hang those lights?" My uncle, already 2 plates deep into the ribs, looked around confused. "What lights?" he asked, genuinely baffled. Karen turned beet red. The twinkly lights over the garage. The entire crowd went silent, staring at her like she'd just cursed at a toddler. That's when Mayor Reyes stepped forward. .com/cool, smile still playing at the edges of his mouth. "Ma'am," he said, "as a representative of the city and a guest here today, I can assure you that there are no fire code violations. In fact, I personally inspected the grilling setup." Karen turned toward him like she was going to protest, but then her eyes widened. "You're the mayor," he said, extending a hand. "Alan Reyes. Nice to meet you." She didn't shake it. She just blinked, mouth working like she was trying to form words but nothing would come out. "You were invited here." "Of course," he said. "I wouldn't miss honoring a man like this. He trained me when I was just a kid. I've never seen someone shrink without moving their feet." But Karen practically vanished in front of us. Her shoulders fell. Her face lost all its fury, replaced with something like panic. She turned her eyes to the crowd, now very aware that most of the neighborhood was watching. Some had their phones out. She tried to recover. Well, still, there are rules. And Karen, the mayor interrupted gently, I respect your dedication to order. But today is about something bigger, about community, family, service. Your neighbor gave this city 32 years of bravery. We're going to let him have this day. Karen looked around again, but nobody came to her rescue. Not even her little dog, which sat silently by her heels like it, too, had given up. She turned on her heel without another word and marched back to her yard, slamming the gate behind her. For a moment, we all just stood there in silence. Then the mayor raised his plastic cup and said, "To Cap," and the crowd echoed, "To Cap." The music came back on. The kids ran across the lawn. My dad sat down next to the mayor, tears welling in his eyes, but a smile stretched across his weathered face. My mom leaned into him, whispering, "He finally got the thank you you deserved." Later that night, after most of the crowd had gone and the stars had come out, I walked to the edge of the yard and looked over at Karen's dark windows. For the first time in years, they stayed shut. No curtain movement, no angry porch light flicks. Just silence. Maybe she was embarrassed. Maybe she was thinking. Maybe, in her own way, she realized she lost something more important than a noise complaint. She lost the neighborhood. But we didn't lose anything. We gained something. A memory. A story that'll live in our family forever. A reminder that joy, real joy, doesn't need permission. It just needs love and a little bit of smoke on the grill.